I, 15F, will be a junior in high school once the new school year starts. I have a little brother I'll call Matt, 3M. My parents both work full-time jobs in the business district. I was a planned baby, but Matt wasn't. My parents considered putting him up for adoption, but couldn't do it. They don't know I know this. Once my mom ended her maternity leave, 2 weeks early, there was a schedule of who watched Matt when. Mom leaves for work at 4:30 a.m., waking me up on the way. I watch Matt until I need to go to school at 7 o'clock, and by that time, my dad is up and takes over. I get home from school at 3:45 p.m., and my dad leaves for his work at no later than 4 p.m. I watch him till my mom gets home at 6 p.m. For the first year, that's how it went. I was fine with that. Now, my mom has shifted her hours to work later. I watch Matt till he sleeps, and I can't sleep till my mom gets home, which is usually 10 to 11 at night. On top of that, I do anything that needs doing at home. I'm in AP classes, and have my homework to do as well. Matt's not very well behaved. He's had health issues since birth that cause him discomfort. He's a toddler, and I get that, but his tantrums and general demeanor make it hard for me to get things done. The two things that tore me down most happened a week before school ended back in May. I managed to talk to my mom and asked her if we could please hire a sitter to look after Matt. I want to take on some extracurriculars. Her response was they didn't need to waste money on that, because they had me. 2 days later, my mom got home at 5 p.m., early, for her, and after eating dinner, told me to ask the school if I could shorten my class load next year in order to spend more time at home, since my dad also apparently wants to shift his hours. I told her no. She got mad, saying I needed to be more understanding and accepting. I had enough and blew up. I can't remember what all was said, but I do remember yelling that I wasn't my little brother's parent. I stormed to my room, stuffed some things in my backpack, and left while my mom was distracted by my brother. I'm safe. I called my grandmother and explained what was going on. She and my mother are estranged, but we managed to stay close. Once she picked me up and got the details, she said she understood. My parents blew up my phone, demanding I come home and telling me I should be ashamed I'm acting this way. My grandmother blocked their numbers. She did talk to them, and they agreed I can stay where I'm at until I get my head on straight. I feel guilty for leaving my brother, but at the same time, I feel so worn out. Other family weighed in. While most are on my side, others say I need to accept my duties in the family and suck it up. I'm conflicted and don't know what to do. Ida for running away? Update, in comments, same day. Update. Posting here in the comments since doing it in the post pushed me over the limit. Thank you to everyone who left comments. I feel more confident in my decision now. A couple of people said I needed to talk to my parents about a sitter or boundaries. I've tried, before the last time. They either brushed me off or said things like that costs so much money but you do such a good job and you're the big sister, it's your duty to watch him. I looked up parentification, since I'd never heard it before, and all the boxes were ticked. I had no idea. My grandmother is talking to an attorney, and wants to set up an arrangement that will let me stay with her my last 2 years of high school. After I graduate, I plan to go to college in another state. Thank you again for your kind words. If something major happens, I'll let you all know. OOP is voted NTA. Update post, July 16, 2023, almost 1 month later. It's been a few weeks, but quite a bit has happened. I'll try my best to keep things concise. Once again, thank you for all your comments and support. They meant a lot to myself and my grandmother, who says hello. Firstly, my father managed to find my post despite my efforts. He told my mother about it, and she proceeded to blast me to the members of my extended family via social media, saying I made them look bad. She deleted the post a few hours later according to my cousins, who support me. A few days later, during a meeting between my parents and myself, my grandmother, and our lawyer, my father apologized to me, and I felt it was sincere. As for my mother, she was silently fuming. Matt was at their house with one of my aunts. They agreed, with great reluctance on my mother's end, to give my grandmother full custody of me for my remaining 3 years as a minor. The next day, my grandmother and some of my supportive family members helped me get what I had for belongings out of my parents' house. I didn't feel true relief until that moment. Now, I'm trying to enjoy my summer. I'm hanging out with friends. Going swimming. I'm relaxing. I'm finally reading books I bought 3 years ago that I never got a chance to read. I'm planning extracurriculars for next semester, and even planning a birthday party, my first in 3 years, for my sweet 16 in February. I'm also helping my grandmother around the house. I do chores, but this time, I'm getting an allowance. Even my sleep has improved. It's a whole new way of living, and it's kind of overwhelming, but I've never been happier. Hopefully, this is the last time I post. I'm going to log off Reddit and go out with my grandmother for some shopping. Thank you all. Relevant comments. Did you get all of your documents? Our lawyer was with us when we went to get my things and requested all my important documents. My father handed them over. My mother hid in the master bedroom. Make sure to go completely no contact. Back when I first left the house, my grandmother blocked their numbers and I blocked all their socials and emails. I don't hate them, life's too short for hate, I don't even think I'm angry anymore. Just disappointed and let down. Any chance they will neglect or abuse Matt when you're gone? Have they before? I don't believe they did. Mom would get frustrated because of how fussy he was, but never abused him. Dad was more patient with him. I think they honestly thought I had some gift when it came to him, like I was able to keep him behave/calm. I wasn't. About her brother. I hope to reconnect with him once he's older, but with our mother being who she is. Who knows? Update post 2, February 18, 2024, 7 months later. Hey everyone. I previously posted in the IDA subreddit about a situation between myself and my parents, mostly my mother. TLDR, I was parentified and forced to devote 99% of my free time to my younger brother. I got fed up and ran to my grandmother. Parents surrendered legal custody of me to her. There are more details in the 2 posts I made about the topic. Things have been going smoothly, I'm doing well in school, taking some extracurriculars, robotics and debate team, and still have time to read and hang out with friends. I have started to communicate with my dad, my decision. Never in person, just over the phone. Mostly it's small talk. I talk about school and classes, and he gives me updates on Matt, my little brother. I've not said a word to my mother directly since the day custody was given to my grandmother. The last time we spoke, my dad told me that Matt had realized I was no longer around, and became more agitated. They hired a nanny to help out, but both my parents were still forced to cut back their hours. That was a week and a half ago. This past Saturday, I had my dream birthday party, which was themed after books. My birthday cake looked like a stack of books, snacks were themed after literary genres, and everyone came dressed as book characters. I dressed as Sherlock Holmes. We had a very cozy venue all to ourselves, and it was great. It was a very chill, relaxed party. My grandmother hired security for the party, with a strict list of who was allowed. This was due to a couple of bullies at school who heard about my party and threatened to crash it. The party ended after a few hours, and most of the guests left. The ones left were my grandmother, myself, one of the guards, and my 2 closest friends. I excused myself to go to the restroom, and when I came out, one of my friends met me halfway down the hall. She tried to push me back into the restroom, saying my mother had shown up and was demanding to see me. I told nobody from my family about this party, not my dad, not even the ones who supported me, because of this exact possibility. I also didn't post about it on social media. I heard yelling from my grandmother and decided to confront the situation myself. The security guard was holding my mom back, and my grandmother was livid. The second my mother saw me, she became irate, screaming that I was a disgrace, that she was never going to let me just cut her off, and if I knew what was good for me, I'd come home. I didn't feel scared or even angry. I was just tired. I kind of sighed, pulled out my phone, and told her I was calling the police. It was up to her if she stayed to face them, but either way, I was filing a no-contact order. She went pale, screamed at me one last time, then ran off, getting into her car and speeding away. I was glad it didn't happen during the party, but it left me shaken. Needless to say, my grandmother and I will be speaking to our attorney tomorrow. I'm still not sure how she found out about the party, which is what spooks me the most. Do entitled/narcissistic parents just have some ability that lets them repeatedly attempt to screw up their kids' lives? I'm starting to feel like I'll have to watch out for my mom the rest of my life. Relevant comments. This exchange. Commenter, to answer your question. Yes, they try to ruin their children's life whenever they can. Why? Because they don't see that they are in fault because they are too self-absorbed to have common sense. In their eyes always others will be at fault. Have you spoken to your dad since this incident or do you intend to? Or are you going NC with him too? If you speak to him maybe he can give you information who told your mom because this person needs to get out of the picture. I have this for you. Sums up pretty perfectly how narcissists are. Oop, I have not spoken to my dad since the incident. I really don't want to go no contact with him. He seems the most apologetic over what I went through and is trying to change, from what I've gathered through speaking to him. I never told him about the party, so he couldn't have informed my mother. I do intend to call him today and see what fallout happened after my mother left. Thank you for the link. Yeah, that adds up. Could she be tracking your phone? I thought about that, and my grandmother agreed. We checked over my phone to see if there was anything of the sort and found nothing. Definitely considering a new phone. Therapy. Thank you. I am in therapy. It's really helping me with a lot of the guilt and pressure I felt after running away. I won't lie, despite my posts in IDA, a good chunk of me wanted to give in and run right back home. But I knew that wasn't what I really wanted, and also knew that if I did, I'd just keep sacrificing unnecessarily. Update post 3, March 4, 2024, 2 weeks later. Sorry for how late this update is, a lot has happened and I've also been busy with schoolwork. I talked to my dad and told him what happened. He sounded horrified and apologized profusely. I told him not to, since it wasn't his fault. He said he'd get to the bottom of it and get back to me. In the meantime, we spoke to our lawyer and he agreed to my idea of filing a no-contact order against my mother. It's currently in progress. My grandmother contacted my school to ensure that my mother was not permitted on campus or allowed to get any information about me. Both my grandmother and I got new phones, and had my grandmother's car checked for air tags. None were found. I checked out all my friends' social media and nothing was posted before the party. I was baffled. 5 days later, I got a call back from my dad. Apparently, he put a lot of pressure on my mother and she finally spilled the beans. She bumped into another parent at a store, the mom of one of my most recent friends who was unable to make the party. They caught a cold. Said mom was not aware of all the drama between my mother and I, giving enough information for my mother to put 2 and 2 together and figure out where the party was. I am just thankful she was unable to get the exact time of the party. She tried calling the venue, but we password locked, I think that's the right term, everything, and they gave her no info. She didn't regret any of it, and even suggested waiting off school grounds once school let out and try to drag me back by the hair one day, just typing that makes me shiver and feel sick to my stomach. My dad was appalled, and apparently that was the breaking point. They had a huge argument, and to make a long story short, he said he was done. He's in the process of moving out and staying in a hotel currently. He's filing for divorce and full custody of Matt. He offered to pay the nanny extra to hire her himself for Matt's sake. Now, even the relatives that were on my mother's side have started to cut her off. She insists she did nothing wrong and that everything happening was my fault for being ungrateful and disloyal. All in all, there's hope for my dad and my brother. I think we can definitely have a better relationship in the future, so long as my mother stays out of the picture. Time will tell, I guess. And I guess that's it. Someone asked in the comments of my last post asked if I was planning on completely cutting my mother out of my life once the no contact order was filed. I didn't want to, she's my mom. But the way she is now, I don't think I have a choice. It's for my safety and mental/physical/emotional well-being. She doesn't have my best interests at heart, only her own. It's sad, but I know it's not my fault she's the way she is now. Now on to the next story. Story 2. Family and friends ruined my marriage by making me paranoid about my wife cheating. After divorce I confronted them. They admitted trying to steal her away. I've been divorced for almost 2 years and a few weeks ago my father, 67 meters, my 2 brothers, 37 meters and 40 meters, and 4 friends, 35 meters, 37 meters, 38, 41 meters, while very drunk joked about how they can't believe I left my wife. They said that they all tried to get with her since the divorce but she had repeatedly rejected them, saying it would be inappropriate and unkind to do such a thing to me. I laughed at what they were saying just to ease them into saying more, and once they thought I found it funny they really opened up. They had all purposely made me feel paranoid about my ex-wife cheating on me, and using me because why would a woman like her be with a man like me if it wasn't for the money I made? They often hinted at or sometimes even directly said that she wore the pants in the relationship and that she was only with me because I'm easily manipulated. They constantly planted negative things into my mind. If I went to talk with them about something happening in my relationship they would put a negative twist to it or they'd purposely give me bad advice. Then when I lost my job during COVID they all hinted at how she's definitely cheating now that there's no financial benefit in being faithful to me. I obviously trusted them and often took their words to heart and it ruined my marriage. I frequently argued with my wife and I was always accusing her of something or suspecting her of not really loving me. I questioned everything that was between us. I often told her bullshit things like how I'm a high-value man and that she needed to appreciate me, and when I was not working for 6 months I flipped the script and started accusing her of not respecting me for not working. I was unappreciative of all her hard work and for being the one who took care of our household bills and any other bill during those 6 months of unemployment. I continued to let their words drive me into paranoia and I started accusing her of cheating with her coworkers. Eventually my wife had enough of my moods, constant mistrust and accusations. She left me, and to be honest for a long time it felt like it came out of nowhere, and so I had myself convinced she left me for another man. Now here I am knowing that every man I've called my family, my friend, were all my enemies who I let destroy my marriage. I obviously lost my mind once they were done telling me all the ways they conspired to ruin my marriage, and we did get to blows. I've cut off all contact with each and every one of them. I want to reach out to my ex and make amends and hopefully get her back. My ex-wife has agreed to meet up with me and she doesn't know exactly what I want to discuss with her, and I don't know how to go about making amends and hopefully mending our relationship. How do I tell her how much I regret everything and that I want her to give me a second chance? Is there even a chance for us? Edit. Some of y'all keep saying you took the words of your friends over your wife's, and I don't think that's a fair or complete assessment. I trusted my father and brothers. My father was the main driving force behind this manipulation campaign, and it's not often that your entire family is conspiring against you. And not only your family but also your friends. I'm not running away from accepting the fact that it is wholly my fault in how my marriage ended. I take ownership of that. I take ownership of the fact that I accused my wife of being a cheater or a user. I regret it all. If my ex-wife doesn't accept my apology, I would accept it gracefully. If she said she never wanted to talk to me or ever get back together, I'd also accept it. I would not stand in the way and I would not try to change her mind. I would wish her well and leave her be. Relevant comments. Fun statistician 550. Well, they certainly knew you're easy to manipulate, don't they? I'm glad you cut these people off. And I would also make a concerted effort to hear your ex out. I don't know if she'll ever forgive you, but at least give her closure if that's what she needs. Oop. As much as it hurts to read this and to see myself as such a person, it is true. I trusted these men. I especially trusted my father and brothers. I never thought my own family would be plotting to ruin my marriage and get with my wife. I absolutely won't get in the way of her unburdening herself. I can only hope she can find a way to forgive me and to possibly trying to get back together, but I'm not holding my breath. I would respect her wishes even if that means she'll never forgive me. Jess, Mo, Jew. So are you telling me that your dad and brothers also tried to get with your wife? Island_Lord 830. I'm shocked they are still alive after a confession like that. I'd command Bahamians just to volatile to hear something like that and not go off. That's just vile. Oop. I didn't include the violence that broke out once heard it all because I didn't want to get my post banned. Blood was absolutely spilled. And of course I had my ass beat because it was 7 against 1. But I did do damage and an ambulance and the police were called. None of us pressed charges against each other and left it at that. Honestly, I am still raging and I've been heartbroken since. Update March 4, 2024, 6 days later. On Sunday I got to meet up with my ex-wife. I apologized profusely and she was kind and understanding but said she couldn't and wouldn't forgive me. She said that it simply isn't in her nature to forgive, and that despite it all she holds no grudges or anger against me and wishes me nothing but goodness in my life. She did give me some advice and told me that I have been in an abusive relationship all my life and that in order to heal whatever is broken in me that I should cut out my father as he sets the tone for my treatment by the rest of my family. She had pointed out the many ways my father has hurt me or had encouraged my family to mistreat me. She said I'd always be stagnated and unhappy if I continued to associate myself with my family and former friends. I told her that I cut them out of my life and that I've got my first therapy session scheduled in a few days. She said she was proud of me for taking my first step into healing. Our conversation was heartfelt and emotionally devastating as we discussed the many ways our marriage had failed as well as the abuse I've experienced by my father and family. We cried the entire time. We cried a lot. We ended our conversation with a long hug and then we said our goodbyes. Final comment from Oop. Forgiveness is earned through changed behavior and recognition of your harm, but it isn't guaranteed or something you deserve. Some things shouldn't be forgiven, and that doesn't mean it eats away at the person or that it somehow holds them back. So I do agree with her when she said that you don't need to forgive in order to heal or gain emotional maturity. And sometimes forgiveness is not even an option. For her, this one of those things that she simply can't and won't forgive, and all I can do is accept it. As much as I'd like her forgiveness, it is simply not available to me, and that's perfectly fine.